again, and welcome to ManchTalk. I'm Tammy Simmons.
And I'm Carla Garrick, and I'm just going to finish my scarf here.
So, it's warm out. I'm not complaining at all. I'm okay with winter starting on, like, Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
It's been super mild. It's great. Yeah. We went out to, there we go.
Out to decorate trees in the park. That
Yes.
was awesome.
You would think it was awesome, but apparently I don't know, all these haters came out and were like, you're the worst people on earth for doing this.
Those at home who don't know what's going on, We Heart West went out to the trail, the bike path, and decorated some trees for the holidays.
Which, I've seen people do at Turtle Pond. I hike all over this area. I see it all over. It's not something that's unusual. I've never heard someone complain about it until, I don't know.
Until We Heart West did it.
It's not glass. It's not, we were planning to clean it up afterwards. We had the kids come out. It was a really fun afternoon.
Why
I posted a photo and then the jerks of the world brought some, real holiday cheer to the experience. So you know what?
Yeah, you can't, well, literally, we were just saying this, literally, not figuratively. I've said it tons of times before. I just think COVID broke everybody's brains. And you can't say or do anything anymore without being attacked. Like, if you question anything, you're evil and you're attacked. Yesterday,
so I think it's because of social media.
I think
it's social media. I think it's because we've created a sort of, because the government's too big, so we have these polarized groups, right? And everyone's trying to pull power to their side. And I think as a society, we've gotten kind of caught up in this very binary thinking. It's either this or this.
Right.
And I'm one of those, why not both people?
Or why can't I just ask? Now, yesterday's hate was a city employee had died last week I guess while at work.
Okay.
Which I feel terrible for his family that it has nothing to do with not feeling bad for his family that this man died, right?
Yeah. I mean, people die every day.
I read obituaries every day. So, and I had seen that he died young, and I thought, oh, that's unfortunate, okay. But there was a thing in, I think it was Manchester Ink Link on Facebook yesterday, showing, I don't know if it was Hanover Street, wherever it was, an entire city block.
Well, it was more than that. They shut down at least 4 blocks that I could tell.
Because the funeral home, it wasn't the funeral, but you know what I mean, the viewing hours or whatever were from 4 to 6 or whatever. So they literally shut down blocks of the city and parked all these Department of Public Works vehicles up and down the street and disrupted traffic, And I thought, well, that's weird.
And police vehicles.
I just thought it was I thought it was peculiar. There was no evil, like, oh my God, I'm glad that man died. No, I said, I feel bad for his family and that's terrible, but I don't understand this. We seem to be seeing more and more of this where there's he works for the city, so we have to have this special thing.
Like a state funeral kind of level stuff, right? And this is something you would see in, Stalinist Russia. You see it in China. It's this sort of like elevation of a person.
I honestly don't even think when Emil Bulio, who was a former mayor of Manchester, passed away, I don't remember this type of thing. And people,
I think it's new.
Right away, because I just questioned, when did this start becoming a thing? I got piled on that I'm mean and I'm awful and I'm all this stuff. And I thought, I just asked a question. And the answers were, he died at work. Okay, I know that's a detail, but it also has nothing to do with my question.
I mean, I don't know
if he was younger. Yes, he died at work. Yes, he had been working for the city for 25 years. All these things are true. Yes, it's terrible for his family. I feel bad for them. I'm sorry for their loss. I still don't understand why all the DPW trucks that cost the taxpayers money to drive were taken from wherever they keep them and lined on these. I don't get it.
So and why city streets are closed, because that actually does disrupt people's lives. And so, if we're looking again at that sort of balance thing, it's like, look, people die.
Yeah.
I feel like, a funeral is kind of a private thing.
It's strange to me.
It is kind of odd, and this is the second time in a month that we've actually had this discussion, which means it seems like it's a trend.
Well,
so it's something that we
seem,
should keep an eye on. I think
just,
we should find out what it costs, because these things aren't, cost free.
Well, somebody did comment, which because you don't know. We don't know. Somebody did say it's not like they were getting paid overtime, which is good to hear. But then somebody else said, well, they had already gassed all the vehicles up for the next day, so it's not like it cost anything. And I thought, see, there's a question there. It does cost things. It costs me money to drive down here to do this TV show. It's not free. It's not free.
No, but you see, gas doesn't cost anything if you drive it between 6 and 7 at night when it's not your work hours. Then the gas is free. It's kind of Biden economics, right? Because according to our president, America pays its debts, which is why we're raising the debt ceiling to pay our debts, and that, frankly, is the equivalent of, I don't know, using 3 other credit cards to pay off your other credit cards.
So,
unsustainable. Inflation is coming. If you are at home and you want to learn more about crypto or Bitcoin to hedge your bets, start coming to the meetups. The 500th
is in February, I think?
Yes. Bitcoin meetup is going to be there, and the folks who are really into this stuff is happy to help anyone learn more and navigate how to do it. So definitely
I do have a subject I want to get to, but before we're talking about just things that aren't true, like it does so I did, because I didn't know what we were going to talk about. So House session will start back up in January. Wednesday, January 5th, Thursday, January 6th, potentially Friday, January 7th. The House will be in session at the Exposition Center at the Doubletree Hilton in downtown Manchester. So that's kind of neat. So that brought up, there's a lot of discussion, a lot of hate, a lot of everything about a retained bill that is, actually was sent to interim study, which usually is a death, but also can mean interim study. HB 607, which literally just is, creates this. There is an established local education freedom account program in any school district that adopts this chapter pursuant to RSA blah, blah, blah. The parent of an eligible student may receive a grant from a scholarship organization if the parent signed blah, blah, blah. So basically, this bill is enabling legislation that would say, if a local school district chooses to adopt it, which would have to, there's a process, and it would have to be 3/5 of the voters in that town, like it's not like a,
right.
They could choose to offer education freedom accounts to the students in their district. That's all this bill does. Gives the towns the option to do it. I reached out to my state representative, Heidi Hamer, yesterday to say I would like you to support this bill, to which she said, of course, she's not. But I did find it interesting in another email. She's got very, very poor grammar, just so you know, for typing as a state rep. You should probably Heidi, do some proofreading. But she did tell another constituent that she will not be supporting this because this will have a direct impact on local taxpayers, because it would allow parents to request their child to go to a private sectarian or homeschool program for the same per dollar amount the municipality pays for their child. This means our tax dollars will be given to parents to spend as they wish on educational programs or whatever for their school-age children with no oversight. So I thought I'd read a little bit in the bill. Most of what she says is not true, which doesn't surprise me. There is oversight. There is a scholarship committee that would have to oversee all this. There is criteria how the money can be spent and not spent. So there is oversight, and that scholarship organization would then report to the Department of Education. She says this dangerous bill cuts into funding for public schools when it doesn't, because it's actually would just be taking 80%, only 80%, not all, of the normal local funding, not including any state grants or federal tax dollars. So that federal tax dollars would still go to the local school district. So basically Heidi's kind of confused, but I assume that the talking points that come from the Dems she's just cutting and pasting because the sentences are incoherent.
But there are also, I mean, I have to say, having watched sort of some of the talking points that are coming from the Democrats in terms of any of this education freedom account stuff is, it's pretty misleading. It's I will concede the point that the education freedom accounts did go over the budget.
There's more parents interested than they had anticipated.
Because there's more demand, right? So that actually means that the government has finally figured out something people actually want. I think the budgeting issue is because no one wanted to, when they were negotiating it, they didn't actually want to, the other side didn't want to concede to make it higher.
Yep.
So they're kind of backdooring in something that they caused anyway. There's a budget shortage because they wouldn't give the budget. So I don't think you get to really argue that one. And just frankly, giving more choice to parents in order to educate their children when we are talking about failing schools that have under 20% reading proficiencies is not something we should stand in the way of. We should really start to look at this and go, hey, maybe we figured out a fantastic solution to a problem, and let's lean into the solution. And yes, if there are fixed costs for the schools, maybe, some of the schools, as have been recommended over time, at least in Manchester, where there is a audit, that said, 4 schools need to close. So if we want to push those fixed costs down, I think the way to do it is to get rid of some of the fixed costs.
So I have to chuckle when they say there's no oversight. And I think, so you're worried that there's no oversight, even though there is oversight, because
the oversight helps you read?
Well, because the oversight in the public school is making sure that the kids can, okay, no, it's actually not. So they're upset that the oversight that's not working isn't going to, the same oversight isn't going to be applied. So it's just bad.
Here's a question. Is it the same oversight that both claim CRT is not being taught in the schools and also filing a lawsuit to say that CRT is?
Well, that'll be interesting because that lawsuit will, much like the current case with the Roe v. Wade challenges, sometimes, when you bring these challenges up, you got to wonder where it's going to go, because I don't see how the teachers union wins on this, because you can't teach discrimination.
Right. And so I think one of the things that maybe people don't understand, or that's been just generally lost in all of this yelling and stuff, is, any decent person, I think, is against racism. I don't think anyone who pushed the bill, anyone who's opposed to any of it, I don't think anyone is secretly being like, ooh, you know what, let's be racist. But my understanding of what's being taught, and I will at least anecdotally tell you that in California, where my friends' kids went to school and came back and were torn up, these 7-year-old boys who were like, we just learned at school we're really bad guys. And my friends were like, why? And they were like, because we're whites, we're oppressors, and we are racists. And I'm like, but that's racist. So if you're teaching anyone that one group of people is a certain way, so if you're saying that all whites are systemically racist, that is racist. And so I think wherever this bill sort of came from, that was the notion, the sort of idea that we shouldn't, as a society, be telling anyone one
definitely
group
not
is
in the
another
public school system,
right? It's just that's an awful thing, and it really
no
fills
way
kids
does
with
any of these CRT restrictive bills. In no way does it say that you can't teach about history or slavery or discrimination or women's right movements or suffragette, any of it. Teach how things went from point A to point B, that there was slavery and how the Republican Party abolished slavery and how, it just, maybe teach that.
And if that shocked you or you were like, what?
Yeah, do your history. Read your history.
Go read the actual history.
Yes.
Maybe the one that they, if there is systemic racism, there's one party that's responsible for it, and it ain't the GOP or the LP. So go figure that one out.
So the real thing I wanted to talk about, which we have time, because I'm sure this will, in this whole hate discussion and saying things that, anytime you say anything or do anything or blink or breathe or anything, not only are you hated for it, and then there's also the idea of where is privacy? Where does the privacy line get drawn? So Dan and I live in our own home, and what we choose to do for our own health is our business, I think. What you and Louie do in your home and what you do for your own personal health is your business. Now, I guess to a degree, and maybe we have too many laws for the wrong reasons. So then
we definitely do.
Well, I mean, sometimes they're there for certain situations, but then the law gets applied broadly. When it comes to children, there's laws that say if a child's being abused, you must report it. I don't have a problem with that. If a child is truly being abused, you should report it. If little kid's getting starved to death, if a child's being beat, whatever, must sleep outside in the snowbank, please report those things. Obviously, that's just normal common sense. Fine. And I think we have laws because that prevents people from covering it up. Fine. This morning, when I turned on my laptop, someone had sent to me a video from TikTok, which I don't TikTok or whatever it is. And it was of a woman who happened to be at Catholic Medical Center being treated for something. And she's relaying a conversation that she is hearing amongst social workers and doctors and hospital staff and whatnot.
And just to set the setting, so she's in a hospital bed. She has a mask on that she's taken off. She's lying in bed. The camera's like this.
And she's whispering.
And she's whispering.
Because she
she's
doesn't.
Like, so they're about to. Right? Yeah, so this is basically
and
the
she
video.
is going on that DCYF is planning to take the children of this person that she is saying, because she can see and hear it, they are looking at his social media pages and sharing pictures of him and his family and faxing pictures to other hospitals and other social things, and they've contacted the Manchester Police Department because this hospital was in Manchester, and another community's police department, which I'm going to leave out because I don't want to identify who the person is because I happen to know who the person is, and I think we're in the hate mode more than anything else. She's going on and on about how they're saying, be on the lookout for him. He's a lunatic. He only listens to lunatic. And you would think, listening to what she's relaying, that this is some crazed person who's keeping his children locked in the basement or something. So I am going to read. I'm sorry that I'm jumping onto my phone, but I got this. The person involved.
So can we just, are you holding on to letting people know why they're doing this? Because you never told them.
I'm going to go backwards.
Okay.
The message that came from this individual, whatever family is going through this is a real travesty and injustice, and DCYF needs to be overhauled for their abuse of this family. They are concerned that they would go public, but they have a court date on Thursday, and they do not want it changes the rules in the court somehow. So the story that I've been told, and from credible sources, I know all these individuals that are relaying and whatnot. His kids and wife are fine and healthy emotionally, physically, and spiritually, but are currently on the run from the government. The children have seen a doctor and are perfectly healthy. The claim of ivermectin is a false charge, as the ivermectin was completed 10 days before they went into the doctor for an unrelated issue. So this family, for whatever reason, I don't know if the kids had COVID, if they were just trying to prevent the kids from getting COVID. I don't know. But 2 teenage children were taking ivermectin. That stopped 10 days later, which if you know anything about ivermectin, it's probably no longer related to ivermectin. One of the kids had something unusual. They called their PCP, and then it snowballed from there. So that causes me a lot of concern, because I would think that if I'm talking to my doctor's office about medical issues, that's not going to be broadcast to the world.
No, but you see, once everyone sort of just lost their collective minds with corona fascism, people were like, we're just going to invade all your privacy. We want to know all your health status. We want to know, track you. We want to trace you. We want to make sure we know where you are. We want to know if you have the sniffles. Never mind that the PCR tests aren't accurate or anything. Also, ivermectin, again, the person who came up with it won a Nobel Prize for the medicine. In countries where it has been used for COVID, they have almost zero COVID. The fact that America had this weird ivermectin thing is a giant tell, because as far as I can see, in the States and India where they used it, their mortality is like negligible. Everyone's going, why was Africa not hard hit with this? I mean, we're talking about a vastly huge population.
Ivermectin is an antiviral, mostly prevents parasites, because I actually did do some. So that's why they use it for malaria. Like, they give you ivermectin to prevent you from getting malaria if you live in Africa.
So you can actually go to India. You can go to 2 provinces in India and do a side-by-side data-driven scientific analysis between a state that didn't use or banned ivermectin and a state that had and used ivermectin. And the difference is stark. But that being said,
I just don't even.
You should be able to take whatever you want for whatever you want.
And is this and why is DCYF involved in? These children are. Who's filing the complaint? That's what I guess I wonder is like, are the children complaining? Because these are not babies that we're talking about here. These are teenage, young adults. One of them is definitely a young adult. Unless the parents are knocking them to the floor and force feeding them, come on, this is not abuse.
DCYF is well known to be a apparatus, so the state arm that is used by people when they have, weird political.
Well, and I mean, when you listen to this woman on TikTok with her, it is funny to watch because she's like, oh my God. I would play it, but she does swear in there. I don't want to put that on the tape. Because she can't believe what she's hearing, that they're reaching out to like social workers to make sure everybody knows. We need to make sure everybody knows. And I thought, you're in a medical facility and there is medical people or people that I presume have some sort of code of something, sharing information about somebody, including saying that they are an awful person and they only listen to lunatics and all this stuff.
So have you seen the whole fact checking? So just because I'm sure this program is going to get banned again because we said the I word and, we're critical of anything. But I would like to talk about this for a hot second. So anyone who's been watching this show for a while knows that we, at least I, but I believe you too, have been deeply frustrated by the censorship and the just like banning of ideas, of conversations, of thoughts, of data, anything that the regime didn't like, somehow magically got taken down. So John Stossel, who's a reporter who's been working probably for 40-ish plus years, right? He's been on Fox. He started at some other thing. He's a columnist in the Union Leader. So they took down some of his videos and said that, and slapped on fact-checking warnings and everything. And so he sued because he said, you know what? I'm a professional journalist. Right. I've been doing this my whole life. I pride myself in following the ethical rules, which are the rules that you voluntarily agree to. So if you're a doctor, yes, there are laws, but you know what? We as humans have ethical obligations to do the right thing, right? And he was like, I take those journalistic obligations seriously. And you know what? I'm going to sue you guys because you're saying that I'm saying things that aren't true that are true. So that court case is now winding its way through the unjustice system. Lo and behold, you know what Facebook's lawyer's defense is to fact-checking? Well, I know we say it's fact checking, but it's just an opinion, man. So remember, for the past 2 years, when we have said these people are slapping, fact checking, misinformation, disinformation, uninformation, whatever labels onto information, like things like ivermectin, which could have saved a lot of lives if we didn't have one regime narrative telling us this is the only way and that there's only one solution, medical solution for everyone. They are now literally, now that they have been taken to court, they're like, yeah, actually our fact checkers aren't fact checkers. They're just people writing opinions about something. So every time you now see a misinformation, disinformation label, I want you to keep that in mind. Yep. It is not a fact. It is someone who is trying to persuade you through actual misinformation of a certain narrative.
It's just crazy.
I
feel like I live in a crazy world, and I know those people who probably watch our show, either they hate us,
there's a lot of those,
they know exactly where we're coming from, because it is one of my I don't know if it's a skill or a detriment. I tend to say things that I know people are thinking and just don't want to say out loud. That's just,
someone's got to say it, because when we stop talking about ideas, then we can't discern what the right solutions are.
Think about this girl. This girl's sitting in a hospital bed, hearing this, and is made the conscious decision to relay it to the public via TikTok, because what she's hearing, she doesn't think is right. Imagine her, this video is going away.
But this is why they're censoring the information.
What if we don't ever hear what she's relaying?
We haven't heard it for the longest time. The battle that is happening right now is because for the first time, we have the technology to get our messages out as well, and to show you with data, with supportable evidence, that everything the government says is bunk. And I challenge anyone watching this show, you come back and you tell me which government program has actually made something better. The war on drugs? No. The war on poverty? No. The war on us? No. So you let me know what the government has done well. Otherwise, until then, we're right.
Of course we're right. And we're out of time, apparently. So one more week till Christmas. Like this is this show and the next show, and then ta-da, Christmas. So if you're out there getting your shopping done, do that. Try to go to the little local stores, shop local. It is a thing, and it does make you feel better when you know you're helping one of your fellow community members. That's all we got for this week. We will be back next Tuesday. Until then, enjoy.
Bye, guys.
Bye.